Endgame is slowing down in the US, but should still get very close to Avatar's numbers, possibly passing them, boosted by the fact that it's got 12 times as many theaters in China than Avatar did. What's up guys, Doc Ito here, the doctor is in. Today, I run the numbers again for Avengers Endgame, comparing it to Avatar, seeing if it's still on track to pass the movie at the box office, and we'll cover this Washington Post article which argues that even if it does, it'll still not be bigger than Avatar. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of Doc Ito's free repairs. Let's take a look at this article real quick. Steven Zaitchik at Washington Post thinks it's not a question of if, but when Avatar will be passed by Endgame. I don't think it's quite as simple as that, as you'll see. He mentions that due to inflation, ticket prices have increased, but Avatar also played mostly in 3D, which gave it a little boost too. The real problem is China. Avatar only made $200 million in China, but Endgame has already made $460 million in China. And part of the reason for this is the movie had just 5,000 movie screens when Avatar came out. Now it has 60,000 movie screens. So of course it's going to make a lot more money in China when there's over 12 times as many movie screens in China now compared to when Avatar came out. So we're looking at already 200-300 million more in China just right off the bat. So it's probably going to make an extra 500 million in China, giving it a huge boost because it's had 12 times as many screens than Avatar did. So it really does make it astonishing that Avatar made so much money when there were only 5,000 screens in the whole country. And it's also true in the US, where Avatar had 3,500 screens at most, and Endgame is up to 4,700 screens now. So it's a lot easier for Endgame to pass Avatar since it's just being played in a lot more places. There were a lot of cities in China that just did not have Avatar available. This article was written before the weekend, and they thought 175 million, a 50% drop, would be a solid number for Endgame in the US. The movie actually made about 145 million for a 60% drop. The most obvious comparison to Endgame is Infinity War. And I've taken the numbers from every single day of Infinity War, all 160, and I'm comparing them daily to the numbers for Endgame. And here's what that looks like so far. From a total box office standpoint, yes, in the US, Endgame is at 619 million, compared to 453 million for Infinity War at the same time. But when we compare the total values and divide Endgame by Infinity War, you can see that day one we were looking at a 1.48 multiplier. This dropped over the first weekend and then stabilized, but this second weekend, because it didn't perform as well as Infinity War, it's actually dropping even more. So now we're looking at a 1.37 multiplier. So what does that mean? It means that the movie was predicted to make about $1 billion in the US based on its first day. But with this weaker second weekend, it's now only looking at around 930 million. And this is a drop of about 22 million from Thursday. So if these numbers continue to drop, it's possible the movie could end up with even less than 900 million. Overseas is more complicated, and you see China's now over the number that Washington Post reported. It's hard to compare Infinity War to Endgame because it was released in theaters in China 2 weeks after the initial release. But I've actually run the numbers, adding those numbers back into the Infinity War totals. So this comparison isn't perfect, but it's close, with Infinity War around 1 billion at this mark and Endgame at around 1.6. So this multiplier went from about 1.45 up to close to 1.6 and dropped down this weekend to about 1.53. If it maintains at a 1.53, that would be a 2.1 billion international number, giving it a total of 3.02 billion, surpassing Avatar's 2.8 billion. Now, of course, if we adjust it for inflation, Avatar's at 3.25 billion, which is still higher than what Endgame is predicted to end up with. Gone with the Wind is higher than that at 3.7, and even Titanic at 3.1 might end up higher than Endgame from an inflation-adjusted standpoint. So we'll keep running the numbers. We'll see if Endgame continues to slow down. There's a lot of big movies coming out over the next month or two, so it's very possible, in my opinion, that these numbers don't do quite as well as what it's been heading toward right now, and I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up right around the Avatar number or just slightly over. So y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. God bless. Doc out.